And Matthew, they are quality racing. They're great fun. You know, you've had a drive of one, Bradley, around this place, and it's hard to win.
Unbelievably hard to win. They're great little cars to drive, though, I can tell you that. They don't have windscreen wipers, but we're lucky the weather's okay at the moment. But they're a lot of fun. Very short in the wheelbase, and the track, when you're in one of these cars, feels like it's a mile wide.
Here's the grid. It's race 4 of the weekend. They've been really busy. Brendan Pingle on pole with Travis Edwards, Mark Griffith and Hayden Stevenson on road 2. So the wins so far have been Brendan Pingle, Mark Griffith and Kyle Clues, and they line up 1-3-5 nose to tail on the grid for this final race. And Kyle Clues is the reigning champ, coming back to the series this weekend. Mark Griffith and Brendan Pingle have won their first ever races. The mixture of the weekend has been unbelievably good. No one tends to dominate a weekend.
And that's what this racing is all about. Nice, close, tight racing, plenty of passing, great opportunity. And you can see from inside the car, not a lot of creature comforts in one of these.
Nathan Townsend, tyres and more. Car warming up, second in the points coming into this weekend. He'll start a bit further back in the pack, position 8. Adrian Cottrell, former champion. High-Tech Oils entry, coming back to have a run this weekend. So both he and Kyle Clues, former champions, coming back to run.
One thing I can tell you, when you're side by side, like really side by side with one of these guys, you feel like you can reach in and give them a clip under the ear if they're giving you a bit of trouble. So it's a bit unnerving. It's like having a passenger in your car going down the straight.
You didn't do that, did you, though?
I didn't reach across, no. I felt like it.
Brendan Pingle on pole, right of screen there in the yellow entry, in the Holden Cruise. Great range of different body stylings. Second row of the grid, Mark Griffith is in the Euro GT. It's the latest body style that we saw in the last round of Queensland race. So I reckon there's about 4 guys jump the start in the middle of the pack. But down to turn 1, Pingle and Edwards side by side. This is round 4 of 6 in the Aussie Racing Cars Super Series. 10 laps ahead at Winton, and it's Edwards in the Darrell Lee car that sweeps around to take the lead. 31 entries here this weekend as this category continues to turn it on. Now, here's what you don't do, Brad. You don't try to pick a winner from any point onwards. Oh. Look at this, three wide. And that's just normal. Edwards to the lead, Pingle next, Stevenson chasing.
And one thing, you see them ducking and diving around. They're very, very short in the wheelbase, and they're quite narrow as well, so they're a bit twitchy. It's a bit like having a roller skate with a jet engine strapped to your back. A little tiny thing with a massive power-to-weight ratio.
It's a great description because it's exactly right. They are, and generally though, even though they're so close and it's hand-to-hand combat, contact is actually quite rare.
Well, that's one of the great things about them being a little bit narrow. But of course, when they do have contact, you know, they're all fiberglass. So you just don't want to do that. It'll put you out of the race. So they can race hard, slide them around, drift them. But you don't want to hit each other. No.
High-Tech Oils in-car with Adrian Cottrell, the former champion. And didn't quite get the gear in there. Sequential gearbox. Yamaha motorbike engine, high revving.
Now, what's interesting when you watch that in-car camera, you see that little yellow stripe at the top of the steering wheel. As he's braking, you see him rocking on the steering wheel a little bit. That's because the amount of deceleration going on at the time is causing the car to jump around. So he's just correcting that a little bit with his steering wheel so he can keep the car as straight as possible and stop it in the shortest possible time.
That was Maurice Massini making a move. Have a look at the back of the pack. There are a couple of cars that went about 2 years too early and had got past about 4 cars before the lights had gone green. I think they were thinking that perhaps no one was looking at them back there. But down through turn 1, they managed to get their way through.
That theory a bit, to tell you the truth.
Oh, really?
When you're right down the back, I don't think anyone watches,
Having spent some time in the UK and Europe, watching Formula Ford and Formula 3 and the like, it was blatantly going on over there. So perhaps some people have been watching some videos. Now, Mark Griffith in this new Euro GT. Have a look at the styling. The rear wing is a little different. It's running with a Mercedes badge on the front of it this weekend, and this is the new style. It's the 7th body shape that Aussie racing cars have generated. He's had a little bit of assistance there in the rear bumper, but they've built 6 of these cars. They've got a few more under construction, and they look really cool. They're a bit of a mixture, taking some styling tips from various GT cars. Mark Griffith is under fire here, though, at the moment, but the new car looks the part.
Oh, it definitely does look good. How hard are these 3 guys going at one another?
Back with Nathan Townsend. He's 11th. Grant Ludby up in front with Adrian Cottrell. That was tight. It's an angry Ant pack, and that's Kyle Clues, car number 1, reigning champion, back in the category this weekend. But the problem is he's back in the pit lane, and Edwards and Pingle have cleared away. Look at the margin. That's not normal.
No, it's not normal. These guys usually are like a bunch of angry ants all jumping over each other.
Back with Cottrell. This is... Oh, he's still got gearbox problems with that car.
He definitely went down one gear too much there and was lucky to execute that move.
Got a move done on Chris Stevenson. That's for P6. Next man on the list is Maurice Massini in the VIP Pet Foods car that leads the points coming into this weekend. And it's round 4 of 6, so there's only 2 to go. And there's street tracks, Gold Coast and Sydney. And he's going around this time and getting cleaned up by Stevenson, who he only just passed earlier on in the lap. The High-Tech Oils Holden Cruise gets going again, but it's got damage at the back, and as you said, it's all fiberglass, so underneath is the chassis itself.
And sometimes that's good and sometimes it's bad. Certainly hasn't, he'll just be angry now. Doesn't look like it's...
no. He's lost the plot now.
Something's not quite right.
It's very boggy out there on the infield this weekend, and so much rain here in the last week.
I think we'll find something's broken in that car. He's quite a good operator, and for it to jump like that, I think you'll find that it had a bit extra damage. Something's bent.
Mid-pack here, tail end of the top 10. It's nose-to-tail stuff, and it's hard to really get away. Well, that's not where you should be going, turn 12. That's the great thing about these cars. You can stick them pretty much anywhere and everywhere. This is the fight a little bit further back. Darren Chamberlain in 10th spot. Gus Robbins, Dean Cottrell also in this. And this is standard Aussie racing car stuff. The category has just really got the right blend for racing. This was Cottrell. We were on board with him as he lost the rear. Ends up backwards. And Stevenson just had nowhere to go as he tried to avoid the spinning cruise. Wait for it. He's coming. He's got it all locked up, trying to stop it. Boof. One order for a new rear of a Holden Cruise. This is on board. Use lots of curb.
Right.
Spun it up. Wham.
He's just had the door shut on him a little bit. And yeah, shaking his head, gone to get under the VIP car, and just didn't work out.
So, Travis Edwards, it's working out for him. He leads the way. It's a pretty interesting Aussie racing cars. More from Winton in a moment. They might be small, but they're big when it comes to racing. The Aussie racing cars. It's race 4 of the weekend, round 4 of the series. And Gus Robbins, I'm not sure if he thinks Brad Jones, if he's in an Aussie race car race or in the Australian Rally Championship, but he's throwing it around and he's fighting for 10th spot. Up front, though, Travis Edwards and Brendan Pingle have absolutely smashed them. They are 5 seconds down the road from 3rd place Maurice Massini in the VIP Pet Foods car. That's a margin you never, ever, ever see in this category.
Yes, what you're saying is true, but they're starting to dice pretty hard with one another now. I doubt that that's enough that's going to slow them down, so the pack will catch to them, but they're pushing and shoving around each other a little bit. But it is it's a decent gap for sure. 5 seconds in this class of racing, something you rarely see.
Back on board with Nathan Townsend, who is chasing down Adam Ubergang in position 7 at the moment, and who came into the weekend 2nd in the championship, just a point behind Massini, with Darren Chamberlain in 3rd. Moves on here down the inside, and that is out wide. Ludby losing a spot. That's P5 to Ubergang, and Townsend trying to go along for the ride. We're on lap 8 this time by, so only a couple to go. And looking at Gus Robbins' car there, I think it needs some assistance. It's falling apart.
Yeah, there's definitely something dragging underneath it, but they doesn't look like it's slowing it down at all.
This is a little further back in the pack. Chris Stevenson in car 7, 13th spot. Dean Cottrell. And now, just behind are the Duckworths, James and Mark. James is the son, Mark's the dad. James is just 16 years of age in that RDA Brakes entry. And this has been a category where basically kids from go-karting who are looking to move into car racing are seeing this place as a viable option. Look at the front, though. This is not done with yet. Pingle around the outside.
And look at the inside wheel up in the air.
He's done it.
Absolutely got that car loaded up well and truly on the rear tyre, just hoiking the front tyre in the air. Nice
Through to the
move.
lead. Yeah, great move. The over. And then back up the inside. Here's Townsend pressuring Ludby with Chamberlain behind. Gus Robbins as well. Tail end of the top 10 with time ticking in this final race of the weekend. They've had a 4-race weekend, so they've been really busy, and we've had 3 different winners from the 3 races, and if Pingle can get home, he'll take 2 for the weekend. This was the move.
Now look at the front wheel hoik up in the air here on the yellow
Left
car.
front, off the deck. Hanging on around the outside and then having the inside for the next turn, which he's managed to make happen. That's not where you should be going.
Maximum grip.
It's really boggy out there. And these things aren't 4-wheel drive, so sometimes you tend to stay there. A couple laps to go. Brendan Pingle, Travis Edwards, they are out in front and a long way away. Doesn't mean that the fight's not good in the middle of the top 10. Rear windows missing. Cars falling apart. But it doesn't slow them down. They're all fighting for position. This is 5 through to 10. Mark Griffith's P10 is actually next down the road. Yellow flag out there in the background because of that car that's off at the sweeper. Here's Mark Griffith. He's been going backwards in the pack. He's going to lose another spot. Jordan Deckett's down the inside to shove that new Euro GT back in the order. And Tony Quinn, the category owner, actually drove one of these cars in the last round at Queensland. And I caught up with him the next weekend at Queensland Raceway, and he said that was one of the best weekends in a race car that I've ever had. He'd never actually raced one of these cars, even though he owns the category. And his son Clark made a very silly suggestion while I was standing there talking to them. He said that I should have a go. I don't know that that's a very good idea for anyone concerned.
Absolutely, back that one up.
Thanks for the support, Bradley. Great to have you back. Now look at this. Father whacking son and hurrying him up and damaging the rear of the 35 Falcon.
That'll be a nice chat at dinner tonight, won't it?
Back to the front, last lap. Brendan Pingle leads the way, and Travis Edwards is right behind. Now, where does he get it done? Does he dive bomb? Does he wait for an error? He's got a bit of a margin of work here.
Pingle will have his head down, trying to hit all his marks, be nice and smooth with the car. One eye in the mirror, but really trying to press on and keep that gap, because if they're not close and they can't make a desperate move. So he'll be focused, trying not to look back, but of course you can't help it. And in saying that, he steps back out on that car.
Clearly he's not wired into your commentary.
Not listening to me at all.
He's only got a couple of corners left to go. He's done a really nice job here. Of course, he's the son of Derek Pingle, long-time open-wheel drive from back in the day. And Travis Edwards is a long-time Aussie racing car guy, but that margin looks too much to me with only a couple of corners left.
Yeah, he's just skipped away from Travis. I'm really surprised. I thought Travis would be all over him on this last lap. 2
corners left to run. It's been a pretty interesting final race for round 4 of the Aussie racing cars. We'll see them next at the Armour All Gold Coast 600 and then at the Sydney 500 to round out 2013. But Brendan Pingle, he broke through earlier in the weekend and won race 2. He's going to add race 4 to the list for the weekend and claim the round. That is a really nice job. He qualified 4th earlier in the weekend. He had a 4th, a win. He was further back in race 3, but he's come on home. And the top 2 really did dominate this one. In the pack, though, it is on to the line. Nathan Townsend will end up back in position 9 by the looks of things. And that pack, that's more like it. That's the sort of stuff that we tend to see with the gaps between the cars. But Brendan Pingle,
look, Mum,
unstoppable, driving with his knees. Great job. He picks up race 4. And here is how they finish. And look at the margin. You could throw a blanket between 4th through to 8th or 9th. Jordan Deckett rounding up the top 10 with the Aussie racing cars. They always add plenty of action with our V8 supercar coverage coming up.